I'm Richard Jack Smith, film critic for Real Talk Movie Reviews. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Chad Stahelski's John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. First off, I would just like to define that term, parabellum. In the film, it's known as war, and there's a good reason for that. In John Wick Chapter 2, John Wick, played by Keanu Reeves, fulfilled a contract for a friend, and that friendship got betrayed. The film ended with Wick taking the life of that friend, but he did so on continental grounds. It's like a kind of safe haven or holy ground for assassins, hitmen, etc. So now the High Table wants John Wick's life. Ian McShane, who runs the Continental, has given Wick a 1 hour head start. But that doesn't mean we have to wait until that hour's elapsed before Wick gets forced into action. While checking out a book at the library, an assassin turns up, and we already know we're in the presence of something extraordinary. The action, while I didn't get excited about it in the first John Wick, was absolutely spectacular in the second film. And indeed, John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum takes that template and amps it up 100%. There's definitely something to be said for the quality and quantity of fight stunts and gunfights in this picture, with everything from axes to books, from different locations to dogs even getting in on fights. It's something to be seen. So with a $40 million price tag on his head, Wick has got to get out of Dodge. So he goes and pays a visit to Halle Berry's Sophia, who's in Casablanca. With her help, he tries to ingratiate himself and get back on good terms with the High Table. Meanwhile, the adjudicator, they rather than she, being played by Asia Kate Dillon, gender non-binary, starts making plans that will see not only Wick's end, but all those who have directly or indirectly helped him. And I want to pause here now and just reflect a little bit on Keanu Reeves and his career, because it is something when you look back on it. Now, some people say, oh, he's not much of an actor. Look at Bram Stoker's Dracula, where he gave a little bit of a comedic performance, corny perhaps. In other films, Little Buddha, on and on and on. But we have to take into account milestones, those being specifically Speed, which remains the gold standard for film pacing, action movie or otherwise. The Matrix, incredible special effects, groundbreaking storytelling, and a memorable protagonist which Reeves played. And then of course there was John Wick Chapter 2, which I still feel is the strongest in the franchise so far. John Wick 3 features something of a ending which I feel half and half about. So Chapter 2 will definitely be the high point in terms of beginning to end quality for the time being. What I'd really like to talk about now are the performances. Lawrence Fishburne returns as kind of like the king of the underworld, and there's a nice surprise regarding his performance which I'm not going to divulge here, obviously. He was really like the hidden gem in Chapter 2. John Wick, as I live and breathe. Just wonderful. And again, he just brings a Shakespearean quality to his performance again. And I was reminded of his, I would say, pretty definitive portrayal of Othello, which wasn't necessarily given its due back in the 1990s. But you can see that he's carried that quality and that charisma forward, and it's wonderful to see. Asia Kate Dillon, first rate. And so finally we come to Keanu Reeves, and yes, he will always be remembered for Point Break, Speed, and especially the first Matrix. But between Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 of John Wick, this could be even more of a calling card. These are tough films to make, learning the gun fu, the memory of his wife being so important, the memory of that puppy from the first film being so important. Acres of relatability for an audience. I'm an animal lover myself. I've got 2 dogs and love them to bits. At first I wasn't sure, based on 1 or 2 niggling little elements, the music, the ending, whether or not I was going to give this a full-on recommendation. Well, let me just set the record straight here. I give the film 5 out of 5 stars. It will be in my top 10, perhaps not my number 1 film of the year though, but it will be there. For more film and soundtrack reviews, please visit Betty Jo Tucker's website, Real Talk Movie Reviews. On Facebook you can find my pages, Hip-Notic Movie Reviews and Hip-Notic Soundtrack Reviews. I am Richard Jack Smith. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.